Hey folks, welcome back to True Crime Stories, where we cover the most thrilling true crime stories. Before we get going, don't forget to leave a like and subscribe for me. Thanks. And now let's get into today's story.
Welcome back, everybody. Ready for another deep dive?
Always.
All right. Well, today we're heading to Serendipity Bay.
Ooh, sounds charming.
Yeah, a lovely little coastal town. At least that's the picture the brochures paint.
Ah, I see. So there's more to the story then.
Oh, there's always more to the story, especially when you've got a murder mystery brewing under the surface. And we've got a whole stack of reports, interviews, witness testimonies, even some art that seems to be connected to the case. It's like a puzzle box just waiting to be opened.
Well, sign me up. I love a good puzzle. What kind of art are we talking about?
You'll see, it's all very intriguing. But first, let's set the scene. Serendipity Bay. This town, they're famous for their annual ocean festival, a big celebration of the sea, their heritage, the whole shebang.
Right, a time for community coming together, that sort of thing.
Exactly. Except this year, the festival took a dark turn. Right in the middle of the festivities, one of the town's leading figures, a guy named Marcus Leary, turns up dead.
Oh, that's awful. So not exactly the festive atmosphere they were going for.
No, not at all. And that's where our deep dive begins, trying to untangle what happened to Marcus Leary. Was it an accident or something more sinister?
So who was this Marcus Leary? What made him such a prominent figure in Serendipity Bay?
Well, he was a businessman, very successful, or at least he seemed to be. Had his hands in a lot of different ventures, real estate, tourism, even some fishing interests. But not everyone was a fan of his ambition, let's just say that.
Ah, I'm sensing some tension here, the kind that might lead to more than just harsh words.
Exactly. And that's what makes this case so fascinating. Everyone in Serendipity Day seems to be connected to Marcus in one way or another, and everyone has a secret.
A tangled web indeed.
Oh, you have no idea. And right at the heart of this web, we have a few key players we need to introduce. First, we have Alice. She's a marine biologist, fiercely passionate about protecting the ocean.
Makes sense, given she lives in a coastal town.
Oh, but it's more than that. Her father was a fisherman, so she's got this deep connection to the sea, the way of life it represents, and Marcus's development plans. Well, let's just say they clashed with her vision of a sustainable future for Serendipity Bay.
I bet. Progress versus tradition, the age-old story. But often with some casualties along the way.
Then there's Mark. Now, Mark is a bit of an enigma. He's an artist. Lives alone in a, get this, an abandoned lighthouse on the outskirts of town.
An abandoned lighthouse? That's pretty atmospheric. I can already picture the brooding artist staring out at the stormy sea.
Oh, you've got him spot on. And his art, it's dark, haunting, full of these unsettling images. And get this, some of his pieces seem to almost predict Marcus's death.
Okay, now that's creepy. Maybe a little too close to reality for comfort.
Yeah, it definitely adds a whole other layer to the mystery. And then we have Ravi. Ravi's a fisherman, one of the few who's still trying to make a living from the sea. But Marcus's ventures, they were squeezing guys like Ravi out, making it harder and harder for them to compete.
So we've got Alice, fighting for the environment. Mark, our tortured artist with a possible connection to the supernatural. And Ravi, representing those struggling to hold on to their way of life. Sound like a recipe for conflict.
It is. And to top it all off, the detective assigned to the case, Leela Becker. She's got her own history with Serendipity Bay. Grew up there, in fact.
Ah, so a homecoming with a twist. Bet that brings back some memories, good and bad.
Oh, I'm sure it does. And that's just the beginning. We're about to dive headfirst into a world of secrets, betrayals, and hidden agendas. Are you ready?
Absolutely. Let's get to it.
All right, so picture this. It's the height of the Ocean Festival. Everyone's out enjoying themselves. Food stalls, live music, the whole 9 yards. Alice is out on her research boat, collecting data, making sure the bay is healthy.
Routine check probably does it all the time.
Yeah, but this time something catches her eye. A fishing boat drifting aimlessly in the bay, and it belongs to none other than Marcus Leary.
Uh-oh. Doesn't sound good.
It wasn't. When Alice got closer, she found Marcus, entangled in the fishing nets. Dead,
So the festival takes a tragic turn.
to say the least. The celebration turned into a crime scene, and suddenly, everyone's a suspect.
And Detective Becker is thrown right into the deep end, back in her hometown, facing a case that's about to reveal all sorts of ugly truths about Serendipity Bay.
And that's where we'll pick up next time. We'll start digging into the suspects, the motives, the secrets that are lurking beneath the surface of this idyllic town.
Welcome back to Serendipity Bay, where the truth, well, it's about as slippery as a fish in a bucket.
Yeah, last time we left Detective Becker staring down a whole school of suspects. And it seems like everyone in this charming little town has something they'd rather keep hidden.
Oh, you know the saying, still waters run deep. And those waters in Serendipity Bay, well, they're practically overflowing with secrets.
Okay, so let's wade back into those waters, shall we?
Yeah.
Where do we pick up with Detective Becker's investigation?
Well, she starts digging into the lives of our main players, Alice, Mark, and Ravi, each with their own reasons to resent Marcus.
Right. Alice wanted to protect the Bay from Marcus's development plans. Mark, well, his art hinted at some dark premonitions, and Robbie was losing his livelihood thanks to Marcus's business moves. But are any of those reasons strong enough to push someone over the edge, so to speak?
That's what Leela's trying to figure out. And she gets a break when she discovers a cryptic text message on Marcus's phone.
A text message. Ooh, that's always a good sign in a murder mystery. What did it say?
It was sent the night Marcus died. Something about a meeting, a secret rendezvous.
Sounds shady. Did they find out who sent it?
You bet. Leela traced the message back to, get this, Marcus's sister, Mary.
Mary. But she seemed so heartbroken at the funeral. I mean, isn't that a bit of an act?
Well, family ties can be complicated, right? And in this case, it turns out Marcus and Mary, they had a lot of bad blood between them. Financial disputes, old resentments, that kind of thing.
Sibling rivalry gone bad.
That's one way to put it. The police interviewed Mary, and she admitted to meeting Marcus on the docks that night. Said she wanted to try and reason with him, convince him to change his ways.
But did she really? I mean, we know they argued. What if things got out of hand? What if Mary snapped?
That's a good question, and Detective Becker is asking the same thing. Mary claims she left the docks after the argument, but her alibi, let's just say it's a bit flimsy.
So she's still a suspect.
Oh, very much so. But while all this is going on, remember Mark, the artist with those creepy paintings? Well, Leela decides to pay him a little visit at his lighthouse studio.
And I bet she finds something interesting, right? Knowing this case.
Oh, she does. Hidden amongst all those dark and stormy seascapes, there's a series of sketches.
Sketches? Like preliminary artwork?
Yeah, but these weren't just any sketches. They were detailed depictions of the exact spot where Marcus's body was found.
Wait, are you saying Mark sketched the crime scene before it even happened?
That's exactly what I'm saying. And
Yeah.
some of the details in those sketches, they were things you wouldn't be able to see from the shore. Things only someone who was out on the water would have known.
Okay, now this is getting seriously spooky.
Mm-hmm.
Did Mark have some kind of premonition? Or was he involved somehow?
Leela confronts Mark about the sketches, and of course he denies everything. Claims it was all just artistic expression, inspired by his nightmares, blah, blah, blah.
But Leela's not buying it, is she? I mean, the evidence is pretty damning.
Nope, not one bit. She starts to think maybe Mark knew more about Marcus's death than he's letting on. Remember how Ravi suggested Mark might have tampered with Marcus's boats? Those sketches, they definitely lend some weight to that theory.
So now we've got two prime suspects, the grieving sister with a shaky alibi, and the brooding artist whose dark visions might be a little too close to reality.
Exactly. But wait, there's more. Leela realizes that maybe, just maybe, the key to solving this case lies with the one person who's been overlooked, the one who found Marcus's body in the first place, Alice.
Alice. But she's the marine biologist. She loved the ocean. Why would she hurt Marcus?
Well, Leela starts thinking, what if Alice stumbled upon something in her research? Something that revealed a deeper, darker secret about Marcus. Something that put the entire bay at risk.
Like what? What could be worse than just development?
We'll delve into that next time. But let's just say this case is about to take a turn for the even more complicated.
All right, so we're back in Serendipity Bay. Remember those lingering questions we had about Alice?
Oh, I do. How could I forget? Our marine biologist, the defender of the ocean, was acting pretty suspicious, especially after Leela found those gloves.
Yeah, those gloves were a pretty big clue. I mean, what are the chances?
Exactly. But Leela, she's not one to jump to conclusions. She needs more than just a stray glove to connect Alice to Marcus's death.
So what does she do? Does she bring Alice in for another round of questioning?
She does. But this time, she's armed with more than just suspicion. Remember how Alice's research data showed those anomalies? Those weird readings in the bay?
Yeah, the ones that suggested some kind of chemical pollutant.
Right. Well, Leela dug a little deeper, and guess what she found?
Something connected to Marcus, I'm guessing.
You bet. Turns out Marcus was involved in some shady business dealings. And I'm not just talking about questionable development projects. This was next-level environmental crime stuff.
Whoa, like what? What was he up to?
Leela discovered evidence that Marcus was planning to dump toxic waste into the bay. a cost-cutting measure, pure and simple. He didn't care about the consequences, the damage it would do, just profits.
That's awful. No wonder Alice was so upset. I mean, she dedicated her life to protecting the ocean.
Exactly, and that's what Leela realized. Alice, she wasn't just a witness to a crime, she was trying to prevent one.
So what happened? Did she confront Marcus?
Oh, she did. She told Leela everything. How she found out about Marcus's plan, how she tried to reason with him, beg him to reconsider. But he wouldn't listen. He was arrogant, dismissive, said she was just a naive idealist.
He sounds like a real piece of work.
Oh, he was. And Alice, well, she was desperate. She couldn't just stand by and watch him destroy the bay, the ecosystem she loved.
So things escalated. They got into a fight.
That's what Alice claims. She said they struggled on the docks and she pushed him.
And he fell overboard.
That's her story. She says it was self-defense. She was just trying to stop him from leaving, from carrying out his plan.
But was it really self-defense? Or is it something more? I mean, Leela found her gloves at the crime scene.
Right, and remember those inconsistencies we talked about? The force it would have taken to push Marcus overboard, the fishing nets tangled around his body. It just didn't add up.
So is Alice telling the whole truth? Or is she protecting someone? Or maybe even herself?
That's the question that haunts Leela, even after Alice's confession. The source material, it leaves us with this lingering ambiguity, a sense that maybe, just maybe, there's more to the story than meets the eye.
So what happened? What's the official verdict?
In the end, Marcus's death was ruled an accident, a tragic culmination of simmering tensions and a heated confrontation gone wrong.
But that doesn't mean everyone believes it, right? I mean, there are still those loose ends. What about Mark and Ravi? What were their roles in all of this?
Well, they were both cleared of any involvement in Marcus's death, officially at least. But the rumors, the whispers in Serendipity Bay, they persist. Some people believe Mark, with his dark visions and his knowledge of the sea, might have played a part. Others think Ravi, desperate to protect his livelihood, might have taken matters into his own hands.
So even though the case is closed, the mystery remains.
Exactly. Serendipity Day, it might look like a peaceful paradise on the surface, but beneath those calm waters, there's a whole world of secrets and lies.
And that's the thing about deep dives like this, isn't it? Sometimes the most compelling mysteries are those that leave us with more questions than answers. It forces us to confront the complexities of human nature, the gray areas where right and wrong blur, and the echoes of tragedy that can ripple through a community long after the headlines fade. Thanks for joining us on this journey into the heart of Serendipity Bay. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep diving deep.